Katie Martinez loved Tuesdays. Every Tuesday after school, her mom Linda would take her to Luna's Corner Café for hot chocolate and cookies. The small coffee shop smelled like warm bread and coffee beans. Katie always sat at the table near the big window where she could watch people walk by on the street. But today was different. Today, Katie noticed someone new. In the dark corner booth at the back of the cafe sat a very strange person. He was tall and thin, much taller than any human Katie had ever seen. His skin was pale, almost gray, and his fingers looked longer than normal fingers should be. His eyes were the most interesting part. They seemed to change color when the light hit them. Sometimes they looked blue, sometimes green, sometimes almost silver. The strange man sat alone. He had a cup of coffee in front of him, but he never drank it. He just stared out the window with the saddest look Katie had ever seen. Other people in the cafe would look at him and then quickly look away. Some people even moved to tables farther from him. Katie thought this was very rude. Her mom always told her to be kind to everyone, especially people who looked lonely. "Mom," Katie whispered, pulling on Linda's sleeve, "why is everyone being mean to that man?" Linda looked toward the corner booth. She had noticed the strange customer too. "They're not being mean, sweetheart. They're just nervous. He's different from us." "Different how?" Katie asked. "Well, he's not human, Katie. He's from somewhere else, somewhere far away." Katie's eyes grew wide with excitement. "You mean he's an alien? A real alien?" Keep your voice down," Linda said quickly. "Yes, I think so. But that doesn't mean we should stare or bother him." But Katie was already standing up. She grabbed her coloring book and her box of crayons from the table. "Katie, where are you going?" Linda asked. "To say hello," Katie said simply. "He looks sad. Nobody should be sad and alone." Before Linda could stop her, Katie walked across the cafe. Her small shoes made soft sounds on the wooden floor. The alien man didn't notice her until she stopped right next to his table. "Hi," Katie said in her brightest voice. "I'm Katie. You look lonely. Would you like some company?" The alien man turned to look at her. Up close, Katie could see that his eyes were definitely changing colors. Right now, they were a soft purple. His face showed complete surprise, like he couldn't believe a small human child was talking to him. Double quotes, I. He started to speak, then stopped. His voice was deep and smooth, with a strange accent Katie had never heard before. "You are not afraid of me?" Katie tilted her head, thinking about this question. "Why would I be afraid? You haven't done anything scary. You're just sitting here drinking coffee. Well, not really drinking it. You haven't touched your cup since I've been watching." A small smile appeared on the alien's face. It was the first smile Katie had seen from him. "You have been watching me?" "Only because you looked sad," Katie said quickly. "I wasn't being rude or anything. My mom says it's not polite to stare, but sometimes you can't help noticing when someone needs a friend." The alien stared at her for a long moment. Katie could hear her mom calling her name softly from across the cafe, but she didn't turn around. "My name is Zen," the alien said finally. "That's a cool name," Katie said. "Like peaceful and calm, right? Can I sit with you? I have coloring books, and I'm really good at staying inside the lines." Zen looked around the cafe. Everyone was watching them now, but trying to pretend they weren't. Some people had their phones out, probably taking pictures. Zen seemed uncomfortable with all the attention. "I do not think your mother would approve," Zen said. Katie turned and waved at Linda. "Mom, can I color with my new friend Zen?" Linda looked worried, but she could see that the alien seemed gentle. She had heard stories about aliens visiting Earth, but she had never seen one in person. Still, her daughter seemed safe, and the alien looked more nervous than dangerous. "Okay," Linda called back, "but stay where I can see you." Katie beamed and climbed into the booth across from Zen. She spread her coloring book and crayons on the poing table. "Do you like to color?" Katie asked. "I'm working on this picture of a spaceship. Maybe you know what real spaceships look like?" Zen looked down at Katie's coloring book. A page showed a simple rocket ship with flames coming out the back. It was nothing like the advanced ships he was used to, but something about the child's innocent drawing touched something deep inside him. "It is." "Very nice," Zen said carefully. "You can help if you want," Katie offered, pushing a red crayon toward him. "I was going to make the fire red and orange. Fire is always red and orange, right?" Zen picked up the crayon with his long fingers. It looked tiny in his hand. "I have not colored in many years," he admitted. "That's okay," Katie said. "It's like riding a bike. You never really forget how to do it." As Zen carefully began to color the flames on Katie's spaceship, something strange happened. The weight that had been sitting on his chest for so long seemed to lift just a little bit. When was the last time someone had asked him to do something just for fun? When was the last time someone had spoken to him without fear or formal respect? "There," Katie said, admiring their work. "That's the best spaceship I've ever colored. You're really good at this, Zen." Zen looked at the simple picture they had created together. On his home world, he owned art that had taken master artists years to create. He had seen the most beautiful things in the galaxy, but somehow this crayon drawing made by a human child felt more precious than any of it. "Thank you, Katie," Zen said softly. "This has been very nice. Will you come back next Tuesday?" Katie asked hopefully. "I always come here on Tuesdays. We could color more pictures, or I could show you my homework. I'm learning about the solar system in school. Do you know about planets and stars and stuff?" Zen's eyes brightened slightly. "I know a little about such things." "Great," Katie said, starting to pack up her crayons. "It's a date then. Same time next Tuesday." As Katie skipped back to her mother, Zen sat alone in his booth again. But this time, he didn't feel quite so lonely. He looked down at the coloring book page Katie had left for him to keep. For the first time in centuries, Zen smiled a real, genuine smile. Outside the café, hidden in the shadows between buildings, 3 figures in dark clothing spoke quietly into small communication devices. "The Emperor has made contact with a human child," one of them reported. "Instructions requested." "Continue observation," came the reply through their earpieces. "Do not interfere unless the Emperor is in danger." The security team had been following Zen for weeks, confused by his strange weekly visits to this small human cafe. They had expected meetings with human leaders or secret negotiations. They had not expected coloring books and conversations about homework. Inside the cafe, Zen carefully folded the drawing and put it in his jacket pocket. Next Tuesday suddenly seemed very far away. Katie could hardly wait for Tuesday to come. All week long, she thought about her new friend Zen. She wondered what planet he came from, and if he had any friends there. She hoped he wasn't too lonely during the other days of the week. On Monday night, Katie sat at her small desk doing homework. She was working on math problems, but they were really hard. Numbers seemed to jump around on the page, and she couldn't figure out the right answers. "Mom, can you help me with this math?" Katie, called Linda, came over and looked at the worksheet. "Oh, honey, this is pretty advanced stuff. Let me see if I can remember how to do it." They worked together for an hour, but Katie still felt confused. She had an idea, though. Maybe Zen could help her. He seemed very smart, and aliens probably knew lots about math and science. Tuesday finally arrived. Katie packed her backpack extra carefully. She brought her math homework, 3 new coloring books, and a paper bag with 2 chocolate chip cookies inside. "Why the extra cookies?" Linda asked as they walked to Luna's corner. "One for me and one for Zen," Katie explained. "I don't think he eats enough. He's very skinny." When they got to the cafe, Katie looked straight toward the corner booth. Zen was there, sitting in the same spot, with the same untouched cup of coffee. But this time, when he saw Katie come in, his face lit up with a smile. "He's happy to see." Katie whispered to her mom. "I can see that," Linda said. She had been thinking about this all week. Her friends thought she was crazy for letting Katie talk to an alien, but there was something gentle about Zen, and Katie had been so excited all week. Katie ran over to Zen's table and climbed into the booth. "Hi, Zen. I brought you a cookie." She pulled the paper bag from her backpack. "That is very kind of you," Zen said. He took the cookie carefully and actually took a small bite. "It is delicious." "I made them with my mom yesterday," Katie said proudly. "Well, I helped. I got 2. Crack the eggs and measure the chocolate chips." Zen smiled. "You are a very good cook then." "Zen, can I ask you something?" Katie said, pulling out her math worksheet. "I have really hard homework, and I thought maybe you could help me. You seem super smart." Zen looked at the math problems. They were simple arithmetic to him, but he could see why they would be difficult for a young human child. "These are about adding and subtracting larger numbers," Zen said. "Would you like me to show you a trick that might make it easier?" "Yes, please." Zen took Katie's pencil and showed her how to break the big numbers into smaller pieces. He taught her to think about numbers like building blocks that could be moved around and combined in different ways. "Try this one," Zen said, pointing to a problem. Katie worked through it using Zen's method. When she got the right answer, she clapped her hands together. "That's so much easier. How did you learn that?" "Where I come from, we learn mathematics at a very young age," Zen said. "But every place has its own ways of thinking about numbers." "Where do you come from exactly?" Katie asked. "Is it far away?" Zen paused. He couldn't tell her the truth about ruling a galactic empire, but he didn't want to lie either. "Very far away," he said finally. "Much farther than you could travel in your lifetime. Do you miss it?" "Sometimes," Zen said. "But it can be a lonely place. Don't you have friends?" "There?" Zen thought about this question. He had advisors and servants and people who obeyed his every command. But friends? Real friends who chose to spend time with him just because they enjoyed his company? "Not really," he admitted. "Most people there are too busy or too afraid to. Just sit and talk." Katie felt sad for Zen. "That sounds awful. Everyone needs friends. What about you?" Zen asked, wanting to change the subject. "Do you have many friends?" "Some," Katie said. "There's my friend Amy at school, and my friend Carlos who lives next door. And my mom is my friend too, even though she's also my mom. And now I have you." The simple way Katie said it made Zen's chest feel warm. When was the last time someone had claimed him as a friend so easily? "I brought new coloring books," Katie said, spreading them on the table. "This one has pictures of different animals, and this one has flowers, and this one has spaceships and rockets." "The spaceships," Zen said, without hesitation. They spent the next hour coloring together. Katie chattered about school, her pet hamster named Buster, and her dream of becoming an astronaut someday. "I want to visit other planets and meet aliens," Katie said, carefully coloring a rocket ship purple. "I think it would be so cool to see what other worlds look like." "What do you think they would look like?" Zen asked. "Maybe some have pink skies or purple grass, or cities that float in the air," Katie said dreamily. "And maybe the aliens would be friendly and want to be friends with humans." Zen smiled sadly. If only it were that simple. In reality, most species in the galaxy viewed humans as primitive and potentially dangerous. The debates about whether to even allow humans to know about galactic civilization had been going on for years. "Do you think aliens and humans could be friends?" Katie asked suddenly. "I think some could," Zen said carefully, "if they took the time to really know each other. Like us," Katie said happily. "Like us," Zen agreed. From across the cafe, Linda watched her daughter and the alien. She had been nervous about this friendship at first, but she could see how happy Katie was. And Zen seemed to genuinely care about her daughter. He listened when Katie talked, helped with her homework, and even smiled and laughed at her silly jokes. Other customers still stared at the odd pair, but Linda noticed that fewer people seemed afraid now. Some even appeared curious. A few had started nodding politely to Zen when they walked past his table. "Katie," Linda called softly, "we need to go soon. You have piano practice tonight." "Oh, already?" Katie looked disappointed. She started packing up her coloring books. "Will you come next Tuesday?" she asked Zen. "I will try," Zen said. "You better," Katie said firmly. "I'm going to bring my science homework next time. We're learning about the solar system, and I bet you know lots about space." After Katie and Linda left, Zen sat alone with his thoughts. These Tuesday meetings had become the brightest part of his week. For a few hours, he could forget about being an emperor. He could forget about the weight of making decisions that affected billions of lives. He could just be Zen, Katie's friend who helped with math homework and colored pictures of spaceships. Outside, his security team continued their watch. They sent their weekly reports back to the Imperial ship, describing the Emperor's continued meetings with the human child. The reports puzzled everyone who read them. What was their powerful leader doing with coloring books and cookies? On the Imperial ship orbiting Earth, Admiral Kane read the latest report with growing concern. "The Emperor has been meeting with this human child for 3 weeks now," he said to his second-in-command. "This is highly irregular behavior." "Should we intervene?" asked Commander Vale. "Not yet," Kane decided, "but keep monitoring. If this friendship begins to affect his judgment, we may need to take action." Neither of them could imagine how much this simple friendship was already changing everything. 3 weeks had passed since Katie first met Zen. Their Tuesday meetings had become the most important part of both of their weeks. Katie would count down the days, and Zen found himself thinking about their conversations, even during important meetings on his ship. This Tuesday started differently, though. Zen looked more worried than usual when Katie bounced into the cafe. "Hi, Zen," Katie called out, rushing to their usual booth. "I brought my science project to show you." But when she sat down, she noticed Zen's expression. His eyes were darker than normal, almost black instead of their usual shifting colors. "Are you okay?" Katie asked. "You look sad again, like the first day I met you." Zen tried to smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I am fine, Katie. Just thinking about work." "What kind of work do you do?" Katie asked. She had wondered about this for weeks, but never asked directly. Zen hesitated. How could he explain that he ruled over thousands of planets and billions of beings? That he made decisions about war and peace across the galaxy? "I help make important decisions," he said finally. "Decisions that affect many people." "That sounds like a big responsibility," Katie said wisely. "My mom says big responsibilities can make people feel stressed." "Yes," Zen said quietly. "Very stressed." Katie pulled out her science project. It was a poster board with pictures of all the planets in Earth's solar system. "Look what I made," she said proudly. "We had to pick a planet and write about it. I picked Mars because it's red, and red is my favorite color." Zen looked at Katie's project. Her facts about Mars were mostly correct, though simplified for a child's level. She had drawn little pictures of rockets flying between Earth and Mars. "This is very good work," Zen said, and he meant it. "You have learned a lot about your solar system. My teacher said that maybe someday humans will travel to Mars and build cities there," Katie said excitedly. "And maybe we'll meet aliens who live in space. Wouldn't that be amazing?" Zen's expression grew even more serious. This was exactly what was causing him so much stress. Right now, high above them, representatives from hundreds of worlds were debating whether humans should be allowed to join the galactic community. "Katie," Zen said carefully, "what do you think would happen if humans met aliens from other worlds?" Katie thought about this seriously. "I think it would be wonderful," she said. "We could learn from each other, like how you helped me with my math, and I taught you how to color inside the lines. But what if some humans were afraid of the aliens? Or what if some aliens thought humans were too dangerous?" Katie frowned. "That would be silly. You're not dangerous, and I'm not dangerous. We're friends. But not everyone is like us, Katie. There are humans who might not be as kind as you are. And there are aliens who might not be as patient as I am." Katie looked at Zen with her big, serious eyes. "Are you in trouble because you're friends with me?" The question hit Zen like a physical blow. In a way, she was right. His advisors had been questioning his judgment lately. They wondered why he spent so much time on Earth. They didn't understand his growing fondness for humans. "Not trouble exactly," Zen said. "But some people don't understand our friendship. That's their problem," Katie said firmly. "My mom always says that if someone doesn't like your friends, it says more about them than about your friends." Zen smiled despite his worries. "Your mother is very wise." "She is," Katie agreed. "Hey, want to hear something cool?" My teacher told us that there might be a big meeting soon where space people decide if humans can join some kind of space club. Isn't that exciting? Zen's blood turned cold. Katie was talking about the Galactic Council meeting that was happening right now, in orbit above their heads. The meeting where he would have to cast the deciding vote about humanity's future. "What do you know about this meeting?" Zen asked, trying to keep his voice calm. "Not much," Katie said. "Just that there are aliens out there who are deciding if humans are ready to meet them. I hope they say yes. I would love to meet more aliens like you." Zen closed his eyes. If only the council could see Katie's excitement and wonder. If only they could understand that not all humans were the warlike, primitive beings his advisors described. "Katie, if these space people decided that humans weren't ready to meet aliens, how would you feel?" Katie thought about this. "I would be really sad," she said. "And I think it would be unfair. How can they know what humans are like if they don't give us a chance? It's like not wanting to be friends with someone just because they look different. But what if they were worried that humans might hurt someone? Then they should make rules," Katie said simply. "Like how we have rules at school. No hitting, no being mean, always say please and thank you. If someone breaks the rules, then they get in trouble. But you don't punish everyone just because one person might be bad." Zen stared at Katie in amazement. This 8-year-old child had just described a more fair and logical approach than most of his trained advisors. "You are very smart, Katie," he said softly. "My mom says I get it from my dad," Katie said. "He was a teacher before he died. Mom says he would have loved talking about space stuff with me." This was the first time Katie had mentioned her father. Zen felt honored that she would share something so personal with him. "He sounds like he was a good man," Zen said. He was. He always said that the best way to solve problems is to talk to each other and try to understand different points of view. Katie looked at Zen seriously. Maybe that's what the space people need to do. Talk to humans instead of just talking about us. Zen felt something shift inside his chest. Katie was right. The council was making decisions about humanity without really knowing humans. They were judging an entire species based on reports and data, not personal experience. Katie, I need to ask you something, Zen said. If you could talk to these space people, what would you want them to know about humans? Katie's face lit up. Oh, that's easy. I would tell them that humans are curious and brave and kind. We make mistakes sometimes, but we try to learn from them. We love our families and friends. We like to explore and discover new things. And we're really good at making friends with people who are different from us. She paused, thinking more. And I would tell them that we make really good cookies, and we know lots of fun games, and we have great stories to tell. Oh, and we're really good at hugging when someone is sad. Zen felt tears forming in his eyes. No report from his intelligence officers had captured what Katie had just described. They had focused on human conflicts and problems, but they had missed the wonder, the curiosity, the capacity for friendship that made humans special. That is a very good answer, Zen said. Will you tell them that if you ever meet them? Katie asked hopefully. Zen looked at this remarkable child who had become his dearest friend. Yes, he said quietly. I will tell them exactly that. At that moment, Zen's communicator buzzed silently in his pocket. The council was ready for his final vote. The decision that would determine humanity's future could not be delayed any longer. Katie, I have to go to work now, Zen said, standing up from the booth. Will you be back next Tuesday? Katie asked, looking worried. Zen looked down at her concerned face. After today, everything would change. Either humanity would be welcomed into the galactic community, or they would be isolated forever. Either way, his secret visits to this cafe would probably have to end. I hope so, he said truthfully. Katie jumped up and hugged Zen around the waist. Take care of yourself, she said. And remember, no job is worth being unhappy all the time. As Zen walked out of Luna's corner, he carried Katie's words with him. In a few hours, he would face the most important decision of his long life. But for the first time, he knew exactly what he had to do. High above Earth, the massive galactic council chamber buzzed with tension. Representatives from over 200 worlds filled the curved rows of seats. At the center of it all sat Zen, though here he was known by his full title, Emperor Zen Thara, of the Zephyrian Empire, ruler of the Outer Rim, keeper of the ancient ways. He looked very different from the gentle alien who colored pictures with Katie every Tuesday. Here he wore the formal robes of his office, deep purple with silver threading, that seemed to move like liquid metal. His advisors sat behind him, their faces stern and disapproving. The question before us today, announced the council speaker, a tall being with blue skin and 4 arms, is whether the species known as humans should be granted knowledge of our existence and invited to join the galactic community. Murmurs filled the chamber. This was not a normal vote. Usually, species had to prove themselves over hundreds of years before being considered. Humans had only recently developed basic space travel. The floor recognizes Admiral Kane of the Zephyrian Empire, the speaker announced. Admiral Kane stood up, his military uniform crisp and intimidating. He was Zen's top military advisor and had been against this vote from the beginning. Honored Council, Kane began, his voice carrying across the chamber. I have spent months studying the human species. They are violent, unpredictable, and dangerous. In just the past century, they have fought 2 massive wars that killed millions of their own kind. They have weapons that could destroy their entire planet. They pollute their environment and fight over resources. He activated a holographic display showing images of human conflicts, pollution, and destruction. These beings are not ready for Galactic civilization, Kane continued. They would bring chaos and violence to our peaceful community. I strongly recommend that we maintain their isolation for at least another 1,000 years. Many council members nodded in agreement. The evidence looked damning. The floor recognizes Counselor Zara of the Centauri Alliance. The speaker announced. A graceful being with silver skin and large, kind eyes stood up. While Admiral Kane's concerns have merit, she said, we must also consider human potential. Yes, they have conflicts, but they also show remarkable adaptability and creativity. They have music, art, and literature that shows great emotional depth. Perhaps guidance rather than isolation would be more beneficial. The debate continued for hours. Speaker after speaker presented arguments for and against humanity. Some focused on human achievements in science and art. Others pointed to their capacity for violence and destruction. Through it all, Zen remained silent. His advisors kept looking at him expectantly, waiting for him to speak against the humans as they had planned. But Zen kept thinking about Katie's words. Finally, the speaker called for the final vote. As per council law, this decision requires a unanimous vote of the 5 great powers. We have heard from 4 of the great powers. All that remains is the deciding vote from the Zephyrian Empire. The chamber fell completely silent. Everyone knew that the Zephyrian Empire held the most powerful military in the galaxy. Their vote would determine humanity's fate. Emperor Zenthara, the speaker announced formally. How does the Zephyrian Empire vote? Zen stood slowly. He could feel the weight of thousands of eyes upon him. His advisors leaned forward, confident that he would vote to reject humanity as they had discussed. Honored Council, Zen began, his voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. I have also studied the human species extensively, more extensively, perhaps, than any other being in this chamber. Admiral Kane smiled, thinking Zen was about to support his position. It is true that humans have faults, Zen continued. They can be violent. They make mistakes. They sometimes let fear guide their actions instead of wisdom. Nods of agreement rippled through the chamber. But, Zen said, his voice growing stronger, I have also discovered something that our reports do not capture. I have discovered that humans possess something many of our advanced civilizations have lost. The chamber was so quiet that the hum of the ship's engines could be heard. They possess wonder, Zen said. Pure, innocent wonder about the universe around them. They dream of exploring stars they have never seen. They imagine friendship with beings they have never met. They approach the unknown not with fear, but with curiosity. Admiral Kane's expression began to change from confidence to concern. I have learned, Zen continued, that a human child will offer cookies to a stranger who looks lonely, that they will teach games to someone who is different from them, that they will accept friendship without asking what they might gain from it. The chamber erupted in confused murmurs. What was the Emperor talking about? You speak of human violence, Zen said, his voice rising above the noise. But I have witnessed human kindness. You fear their unpredictability, but I have seen their capacity to grow and learn from their mistakes. You worry about their primitive nature, but I have observed their ability to find simple solutions to complex problems. Admiral Kane stood up abruptly. Your Majesty, these observations are not based on proper scientific study. They seem to be based on emotional responses. Zen turned to face his advisor directly. You are correct, Admiral. They are based on emotional responses, on friendship, on trust, on hope. These are not weaknesses to be dismissed. They are strengths that our cold, calculating civilization desperately needs. The chamber was in uproar now. Several council members were shouting. Questions. How had the Emperor gained this personal knowledge of humans? When had he interacted with them? Order. The speaker called. But the noise continued. Zen raised his hand, and slowly the chamber quieted. When he spoke again, his voice was filled with conviction. "I have seen the future where humans join our community," he said. "It is not a future of violence and chaos. It is a future where their curiosity pushes us to explore new frontiers, where their creativity helps us solve problems we have struggled with for centuries, where their capacity for friendship bridges gaps between species that have been enemies for millennia." He paused, thinking of Katie's excited face when she talked about meeting aliens. "The question is not whether humans are ready for us," Zen said firmly. "The question is whether we are ready for them. Are we ready to remember what it means to approach the universe with wonder instead of fear? Are we ready to value friendship over power? Are we ready to learn from beings who see the good in others before they see the bad?" The chamber was completely silent now. "The Zephyrian Empire votes to welcome humanity into the galactic community," Zen announced. "Not in 1,000 years. Not when they become perfect. Now, while they still have the wonder and hope that makes them special." The impact of his words hit the chamber like a shockwave. By law, his vote made the decision final. Humanity would be contacted. The age of isolation was over. Admiral Kane looked at his emperor with a mixture of shock and betrayal. "Your Majesty," he said slowly, "what has influenced this decision? What has changed your mind about the humans?" Zen smiled, thinking of a small girl with chocolate chip cookies and a box of crayons. "I made a friend," he said simply. As the chamber erupted in questions and debate, Zen quietly slipped away. He had one more important meeting to attend. It was Tuesday, and Katie would be waiting at Luna's corner, probably worried that he hadn't come back. For the first time in his long life, Zen was excited to share good news. Katie sat in the corner booth at Luna's corner, staring at the door. It was Tuesday afternoon, but Zen hadn't come. She had been waiting for over an hour, and her hot chocolate was getting cold. "Maybe he's just late," Linda said gently, sitting across from her daughter. But Linda was worried too. Zen had never missed their Tuesday meetings before. Katie had drawn a special picture for Zen this week. It showed two figures sitting at a table, one small with brown hair, one tall with changing eyes, and above them she had written, "Best friends forever," in her careful third-grade handwriting. "Do you think he's okay?" Katie asked quietly. "He seemed really sad last week." "I'm sure he's fine, sweetheart," Linda said, though she wasn't sure at all. Katie sighed and looked out the window. That's when she saw something that made her gasp. "Mom, look!" Linda turned to see what Katie was pointing at. Outside the cafe, several strange-looking people were walking down the street. They were clearly not human. Some were tall and thin, like Zen. Others had different colored skin, and one seemed to be floating slightly above the ground. "Are those?" Linda started to ask. "Aliens," Katie said excitedly. "Real aliens, they're here." Other people in the cafe had noticed too. Some were taking pictures with their phones. Others looked scared. But Katie was thrilled. The cafe door chimed, and Zen walked in. But he wasn't alone. 3 other beings followed him, the ones Katie had seen through the window. They all wore formal-looking clothes that seemed to shimmer with their own light. Everyone in the cafe stopped talking. Some people looked scared. Others stared with their mouths open. A few quickly paid their bills and left. But Katie jumped up from the booth and ran straight to Zen. "Zen, you came back," she called out happily, not caring at all about the other aliens or the staring people. She hugged him around the waist, just like always. Zen's face broke into the biggest smile anyone in the cafe had ever seen. His 3 companions looked shocked. They had never seen their emperor show such emotion, and they certainly had never seen anyone hug him so casually. "Hello, Katie," Zen said warmly, kneeling down to her level. "I'm sorry I'm late. I had some very important work to finish. That's okay, Katie said. I drew you a picture. She pulled out her drawing and showed it to him proudly. Zen looked at the picture of the two of them labeled Best Friends Forever. His eyes began to change colors rapidly, something that only happened when he was feeling very strong emotions. It is beautiful, Katie, he said softly. The most beautiful picture I have ever seen. Who are your friends? Katie asked, looking curiously at the other aliens. Zen stood up and turned to his companions. Katie, I would like you to meet some very important people. This is Counselor Zara from the Centauri Alliance. He gestured to the graceful being with silver skin. This is Ambassador Torque from the Mineral Worlds. A floating alien bobbed slightly in greeting. And this is Dr. Lila from the Science Coalition. The third alien, who looked almost human except for her golden eyes, smiled kindly. It is an honor to meet you, Katie, Counselor Zara said in a musical voice. Zen has told us so much about you. Katie looked confused. He has? But I just met you. Dr. Lila stepped forward. Katie, Zen is a very important person where we come from. He helps make decisions that affect many worlds and many people. I know, Katie said matter-of-factly. He told me he has a big responsibility job. That's why he gets sad sometimes. The three aliens exchanged glances. They had come to Earth expecting to meet with government leaders and scientists. They had not expected to find their Emperor's closest human friend to be an 8-year-old girl. Katie, Zen said gently, I need to tell you something important. I haven't been completely honest about who I am. Katie looked at him with serious eyes. Are you in trouble? Is that why these important people are here? Not trouble exactly, Zen said. But I need to explain something. Do you remember how you asked me what I do for work? Katie nodded. I am what humans would call a king. A king of many planets and many people. Katie's eyes grew wide. You're a king? Like in fairy tales? Something like that, Zen said with a small smile. Wow, Katie said, impressed. That's way cooler than I thought. But why didn't you tell me before? Because, Zen said quietly, when people know I am a king, they treat me differently. They are afraid of me, or they want things from me, or they act fake nice because they have to. But you just wanted to be my friend. Katie thought about this seriously. Well, you're still the same Zen who helped me with my math homework and colored pictures with me, right? Yes, Zen said. Then I don't care if you're a king or a garbage man or anything else, Katie said firmly. You're still my friend. Counselor Zara made a soft sound of amazement. Ambassador Torque's floating became more agitated, which his species did when they were emotional. Dr. Lila smiled so widely that her golden eyes seemed to glow. Katie, Zen said, these important people came here because we had to make a big decision about humans and aliens becoming friends. I voted that we should be friends. You did? Katie asked excitedly. That's wonderful. Does that mean more aliens will come to Earth? Yes, Dr. Lila said. Very soon, humans will learn that they are not alone in the universe. There will be teachers who come to share knowledge, explorers who want to see your world, and scientists who want to work together with human scientists. Katie practically bounced with excitement. This is the best day ever. Can I tell my mom? Can I tell my class at school? Soon everyone will know, Zen said. But Katie, I need to ask you something important. Would you like to help? Help with what? Help humans and aliens become friends, Zen explained. Some humans will be scared when they first meet aliens. Some aliens will be nervous about meeting humans. We need someone who is good at making friends with people who are different. Katie's face lit up with understanding. You want me to help because I made friends with you, even though you're different. Exactly, Zen said. You saw past the differences and found the friendship underneath. "We need more people like you. I would love to help," Katie said. Then she had another thought. "Does this mean you won't come to Luna's Corner anymore?" Zen looked around the cafe. Other customers were still staring, but they seemed more curious than afraid now. Some were even trying to listen to the conversation. "Actually," Zen said, "I was thinking that Luna's Corner might become a very important place. The first place where humans and aliens became friends. Maybe other aliens would like to come here too." Danny Rodriguez, the young man who worked behind the counter, stepped forward nervously. "Excuse me," he said to Zen. "Are you saying that aliens might want to come to our cafe regularly?" "If that would be acceptable," Zen said politely. Danny's nervous expression changed to excitement. "Are you kidding? This place would become the most famous cafe on Earth." Linda, who had been watching everything with amazement, finally spoke up. "Katie, do you understand what this means?" "You're going to be part of history, I guess," Katie said. "But really, I just want to keep being friends with Zen. And now I get to make friends with even more aliens." Counselor Zara knelt down to Katie's level. "Katie, may I ask you something? When you first saw Zen, weren't you afraid?" Katie thought about this. "Not really. He looked sad and lonely. I felt sorry for him more than scared of him. And now that you know he is a powerful king, does that change how you feel?" "Well, it's pretty cool," Katie said honestly. "But he's still just Zen to me. He still likes coloring books and needs help remembering to eat his cookies." The three alien diplomats exchanged meaningful looks. They were beginning to understand why Zen had been so influenced by this human child. "Katie," Ambassador Torque said in his whispery voice, "in our worlds, people often treat those in power with fear or fake respect. You treat Zen like ... like a normal person." "Because he is a normal person," Katie said simply. "He just happens to have a really important job. My mom has an important job too. She's a nurse, and she helps sick people get better. But she's still just my mom." Dr. Lila laughed, a sound like silver bells. "Katie, I think you are going to teach us as much as we teach you." "I hope so," Katie said brightly. "Learning is fun when you do it with friends." Zen looked around the cafe at the other customers, who were now openly listening to their conversation. Some had moved closer. A few looked excited, others nervous. But none looked hostile. "Perhaps," Zen said, "we should make an announcement. Let people know what is happening. Can I help?" Katie asked eagerly. Zen smiled. "I would not want to do it without you." Katie climbed up onto her chair so everyone could see her better. "Excuse me, everyone," she called out in her clear, young voice. "I want you to meet my friend Zen. He's a king from space, and he just decided that aliens and humans should be friends." The cafe erupted in excited chatter. People pulled out their phones to record. Some started asking questions all at once. Katie wasn't finished. "And these are his friends from other planets. They're really nice, and they want to be friends with humans too. So don't be scared, okay? They're just like us, except they look different and come from really far away." Counselor Zara stepped forward and addressed the cafe. "Katie speaks the truth. We come in friendship. We have much to learn from each other." An elderly man, eh? Corner table raised his hand tentatively. "Are ... Are there more of you coming?" "Yes," Dr. Lala said gently.